Hi everyone, welcome to a new devlog. In this episode, I have introduced to the combat some ideas inspired by Last of Us and God of War. And on the other hand, I've started modeling another enemy, the Fallen. So let's get started. After my last devlog, Anthony Nedgen shared in the comments a GDC talk that I found super interesting about God of War and the introduction of the axe as a new combat weapon. Apart from the new weapon, the video talks a lot about the combat design and the crowd control system. After watching the video, I decided to borrow some ideas. One of the ideas I liked is how they use the different impact reactions for crowd control. With stronger attacks, the enemy's hit reaction is stronger, pushing him further away, which gives the player more time to separate the enemies and kill them one by one. Inspired by this concept, I came up with the idea to reward the player when he perfectly executes the 4-attack combo with a knockback, pushing the enemy farther away and throwing him to the ground, giving the player a few extra seconds to attack nearby enemies or rethink the combat strategy. I'll leave the link of the GDC talk in the comments. I think it's a very recommendable video to watch if you like combat or game design. Along with this idea, I remember a documentary video I watched when I was preparing for my interviews with Naughty Dog. It's a video where Anthony Newman explains the visual tricks they use to hide combat flaws by moving the camera and the characters, and making the attacks look more powerful. I found it very interesting. I'll leave the link to the section where he talks about this because it's a very long video, but I would recommend watching it fully because there are lots to learn from. One of the tricks they use is to move the character very close to the enemy with each attack to reduce the distance between both characters. By doing so instantly, the player character hides the animation to the camera, and the player doesn't realize the lack of synchronization between the animation and the impact, while the impact seems much more intense. I use the same concept in my system. When the player starts the combo, with each attack I teleport the player 1.5 meters away from the enemy, so the player is still in range to hit the enemy with the next attack, while pushing him away from us for crowd control. The teleportation is only activated when we chain combos. If there is no chaining, then we just push the enemy. The combination of both concepts works quite well and makes the combat much more complex and satisfying. On the other hand, I have added a camera shake that makes the attack more intense. When the combat will be finished, I will start adding all the juice, like visual effects and sounds that will help to hide minor combat flaws and make it more interesting and satisfying. But I want to have a very strong and fun combat system foundation in place before adding any aesthetics. This week, after so much development, I decided to start making some art for the game. So far, the game is in a very prototype phase where nothing is final, so to alternate tasks, I designed the Fallen. The Fallen are humans who died during the 100 Years' War and were cursed by the Night Souls to a life of eternal suffering. Cursed by the necromantic arts of the Night Souls, they wander the valley waiting for the call to war. Their weapons are basically swords and shields. Although they are not very strong, they base their strategy on the difference in numbers, attacking in groups. The idea is to design the enemy in a modular way, so with few changes I can create a great variety of adversaries. I'm still a little undecided with the graphic style. I would like to make a style more similar to Zelda Breath of the Wild, but maybe a more realistic style like Dark Souls would also work. The second style, although it seems more complex, is easier to achieve with my experience, since I don't have to rely so much on shaders, and I have used that graphic style before. But I have the feeling the Breath of Wild style is very appreciated by players, and also makes a difference from the competition. What style of graphics do you like better? Please let me know your opinions in the comments. And that was all the progress of the week. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you like this kind of content, and leave comments if you have questions or suggestions. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week.